Have you ever looked around your life and thought, why doesn't this feel like me anymore? The same routines, the same conversations, the same places you've always known. Nothing has dramatically changed, yet something feels different. It can be confusing because your life still looks familiar, but somehow it no longer feels like home. Our first reaction is often to assume something is wrong. Maybe we've lost motivation. Maybe we're becoming ungrateful. Maybe we're just tired. But what if none of those explanations are true? What if this uncomfortable feeling isn't a sign that you're lost, but a sign that you're changing? One of the strangest parts of personal growth is that it rarely begins with excitement. It often begins with disconnection. Conversations that once energized you feel repetitive. Goals that once mattered suddenly feel empty. Sometimes feeling disconnected isn't a sign you're falling apart. It's a sign you've started growing beyond what once fit you. Growth rarely announces itself. It happens in tiny moments. Every book you read, every difficult conversation, every experience that quietly changed how you see the world. One day, you simply wake up and realize you've become someone your old life wasn't designed for. We naturally confuse familiarity with belonging. We stay in routines because they're comfortable. We revisit the same habits because they feel safe. But familiar isn't always the same as fulfilling. Sometimes the hardest thing to leave isn't what's hurting you. It's what has simply become familiar. It can feel as though you're losing yourself. But maybe the opposite is happening. Maybe you're finally meeting a version of yourself that had been quietly waiting beneath old expectations, old habits, and old roles. Growing often feels like loss, before it feels like freedom. As you change, some conversations naturally become shorter. Some friendships begin to feel different. It's easy to believe you've done something wrong. But people aren't meant to grow in perfect synchrony. Sometimes loneliness isn't a punishment. It's simply the space between who you've been and who you're becoming. We often try to recreate the comfort we once felt. We return to old routines, old hobbies, old ways of thinking. But they don't fit anymore. Not because they were wrong, but because you've quietly become someone new. Trying to squeeze back into an old life is like trying to wear clothes you've already outgrown. One reason this stage feels uncomfortable is that you haven't fully discovered what comes next. You've stepped away from the old, but the new isn't completely visible yet. Growth often feels uncertain because you're walking through a chapter that can only be understood after you've lived it. It's natural to miss the simplicity of an earlier season of life. But instead of asking, how do I get back to who I was? Maybe a gentler question is, who am I becoming? One question looks backward. The other quietly opens the future. We often believe we need a complete plan before moving forward. But life rarely works that way. Clarity usually arrives while we're moving, not while we're waiting. One honest step is often enough to reveal the next one. Sometimes your inner world changes much faster than your outer one. Your habits, relationships, career, or surroundings may simply need time to catch up. That doesn't mean you're stuck. It simply means growth often happens inside, long before it becomes visible outside. We spend so much energy trying to make transition feel certain. But transition isn't meant to feel settled. It's meant to carry you from one version of yourself to another. The discomfort doesn't necessarily mean you're making the wrong choice. Sometimes it simply means you're moving. We often imagine personal growth as becoming someone completely different. But real growth usually feels like removing layers that were never really you. Little by little, you stop performing. You stop pretending. And the person underneath quietly begins to appear. Maybe your old life wasn't meant to last forever. Maybe it was meant to carry you exactly this far. You don't have to resent the person you used to be. They helped you become the person standing here today. And perhaps that's why this chapter feels so unfamiliar. Not because you're lost, but because you've quietly outgrown the life that once fit you perfectly. Less burnout, more life. Welcome to Life for Glow. Subscribe for more new videos.